One sunny afternoon in Enchantia, Princess Sofia was sitting in the castle library, flipping through the pages of a very old cookbook. The book was full of strange and wonderful recipes, many of which were written in an ancient language. The cookbook belonged to the royal family for generations, and it was said to contain recipes with magical powers. "Look at this," Sofia said, pointing to a page. Her friends around her. "This recipe says it can make any dish sparkle with magic. Wouldn't it be amazing to cook something like that for tonight's royal dinner?" Clover's eyes widened. "Magic food? Sign me up. I'll taste test everything." Sofia giggled. "I think we need to be careful, Cleo. These recipes are very old. We need to follow them exactly, or who knows what might happen." Hildegard looked down to get a closer look. "What kind of dishes are in there, Sofia?" Sofia traced her finger down the list of recipes. "There's a recipe for magical golden bread, which is supposed to be as soft as a cloud and glow like sunlight. And here's one for sparkling star soup, which has star-shaped vegetables that float and twinkle in the bowl." Cleo said excitedly. "Oh, that sounds lovely. Are you going to try making one of them for dinner?" Sofia nodded. "I think I'll make both. The royal family is having a big dinner tonight with guests from all over the kingdom. It's the perfect chance to try out these magical dishes." With the ancient cookbook in hand, Sofia hurried down to the royal kitchen. Chef André was busy preparing for the evening's feast, but when he saw Sofia with the old cookbook, his eyes lit up with excitement. "Ah, Princess Sofia, I see you've found the royal cookbook of enchanted dishes," Chef André said. "Those recipes are legendary. I've always wanted to try making one of them myself, but they're quite tricky. I was hoping to make the magical golden bread and sparkling star soup for tonight's dinner," Sofia explained. "Would you help me?" "Of course," Chef André replied with a smile. "But remember, these recipes require special ingredients and must be prepared in a very specific way. We'll have to follow every step carefully." Sofia nodded eagerly, and they got to work. The first recipe they decided to tackle was the magical golden bread. According to the book, they needed to use flour made from golden wheat that only grew in a faraway valley called the Sunlit Fields. "Luckily, we have some golden wheat stored in the pantry from the last harvest," Chef André said, pulling a bag from the shelf. "This wheat has a natural glow to it, and when baked into bread, it creates a beautiful golden crust." Sofia sifted the flour while Chef André mixed in a special blend of herbs and honey. The dough shimmered slightly as they kneaded it, and Sofia could already tell there was something magical about it. After shaping the dough into small loaves, they set them aside to rise. Next, it was time to make the sparkling star soup. This recipe called for star-shaped vegetables that would float in the broth and sparkle like stars in the night sky. "I've never seen star-shaped vegetables before," Sofia said, scanning the recipe for more details. "How do we make those?" Chef André scratched his chin. "Ah, the vegetables need to be cut with a special star-shaped knife. And we have just the tool." He pulled a gleaming, star-shaped knife from a drawer. This knife was enchanted long ago to create perfect star shapes out of any vegetable. "Let's try it with some carrots and potatoes." Sofia and Chef André worked together to chop the vegetables into perfect little stars. As they dropped them into the pot of broth, something amazing happened. The vegetables began to glow with a soft, twinkling light, just like stars in the night sky. "This is amazing," Sofia said, her eyes wide with wonder. "I've never seen anything like it." But as they stirred the soup, Sofia noticed something odd. The vegetables were floating, just as they were supposed to, but they were starting to rise higher and higher out of the pot. Chef André, is that supposed to happen?" Sofia asked, pointing to the vegetables that were now floating above the pot. Chef André looked alarmed. "Oh dear, the recipe must be reacting to too much magic. Quick, we need to balance it out." Sofia grabbed the cookbook and flipped through the pages. "It says here we need to add a pinch of stardust to keep the vegetables from floating away." "Stardust?" Clover asked, hopping over. "Where are we supposed to find that?" Just then, Cleo looked over to a shelf and spotted a small jar. "Here it is, stardust from the royal garden." Sofia carefully sprinkled a pinch of the stardust into the pot, and immediately the star-shaped vegetables floated back down into the broth, glowing peacefully. The crisis was averted, and the soup was now complete. By the time they finished, the kitchen smelled wonderful. The magical golden bread had risen beautifully, its crust glowing with a warm, golden light, and the sparkling star soup looked like a bowl full of twinkling stars. Sofia could hardly wait to see how everyone would react to the magical dishes. But just as they were about to serve the food, Sofia noticed something else in the recipe book. "Wait, there's one more step," she said, reading carefully. Both dishes need to be served on enchanted plates to keep the magic stable. Chef André raised an eyebrow. Enchanted plates? I don't think we have any of those in the kitchen. Sofia thought for a moment. I remember seeing some in the castle's treasure room. My father told me they were passed down from the ancient kings and queens of Enchantia. They should be perfect. Without wasting any time, Sofia and Cleo raced to the treasure room, where they found the enchanted plates. They were made of fine porcelain and had shimmering silver edges that sparkled when touched by light. These are perfect, Sofia said, carefully carrying the plates back to the kitchen. That evening, the grand dining hall was filled with guests from all over the kingdom. The table was set with the enchanted plates, and Sofia felt a flutter of excitement in her chest as she and Chef André brought out the dishes. First came the magical golden bread. As the guests took their seats, they gasped in amazement at the glowing, golden loaves. This bread looks like it's made of sunlight, Queen Miranda exclaimed, smiling at Sofia. It smells heavenly, King Roland added, taking a slice. Next came the sparkling star soup. The twinkling star-shaped vegetables floated gently in the broth, and the guests were enchanted by the sight. Why, it looks like a bowl of stars, Princess Amber said, her eyes wide with wonder. As the guests tasted the magical dishes, their faces lit up with delight. The bread was soft and fluffy, with a hint of sweetness, and the soup was warm and comforting, with just the right amount of sparkle. King Roland raised his glass in a toast. This is truly a feast to remember. Princess Sofia, you have outdone yourself with these magical dishes. Sofia beamed with pride. Thank you, father, but I couldn't have done it without Chef André's help, and the ancient royal cookbook, of course. The royal guests continued to enjoy the magical meal, and as the evening went on, Sofia felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Not only had she created something delicious, but she had also brought a bit of magic to the royal dinner. Later that night, as the castle quieted down and the last of the guests left, Sofia sat by the fire with her friends. That was one magical cooking adventure, Cleo said with a satisfied sigh. Hildegard nodded, and everyone loved it. You should use that cookbook more often, Sofia. Sofia smiled. Maybe I will, but I think I'll save the really magical recipes for special occasions. Cooking with magic can be a little unpredictable. And with that, Sofia and her friends settled down for a peaceful night, dreaming of more magical adventures to come, in and out of the kitchen. The end.